When Longfellow described Michigan's Upper Peninsula in his 1855 epic poem, The Song of Hiawatha, it was in the most romantic of terms. By the turn of the century, much had changed. Rugged laborers filled the mining and logging camps, many with little respect for law and order. Saloons and bawdy houses were common, and Bible-believing churches were rare. Into this scene came Arthur Glenn as a young, backslidden believer just before World War I. Striking out on his own, he worked in the logging camps, dodging danger and seeing life at its worst. Years later, he would return with his bride, Florence, armed with the call of God to evangelize the mining and logging camps of the UP. Over the next decade, Glenn met others whose burden matched his own. He wrote of a 1940 visit to the home of missionaries Fred and Stella Kinkle in Newbury. Stopping at mealtime, as was his custom, he didn't sense the warm welcome they usually extended. Later, he found out why. They were down to their last few old potatoes, and a porcupine Fred had clubbed to death. Glenn said, "The porcupine didn't taste too bad, but I felt it was to show me that the Lord wanted me to go to Lower Michigan and tell of the great need of these missionaries." And he did, raising some $250, which he banked in the name of Hiawatha Land Independent Baptist Missions. No such entity existed yet, but he could see it coming. At Glenn's urging, a group of pastors and laymen gathered in May of 1942 and organized Hiawatha Land Independent Baptist Missions to provide assistance for the 6 families then working in the UP. Glenn was asked to serve as the mission's first director. The path to self-support was long and torturous for those first few churches. Resources were limited and the population was sparse in towns like Brimley, Nobbinway, Watersmeet, and McMillan. Churches planted in the early days took an average of 23 years to graduate from mission status. Those figures evoked some skepticism, but these God-called pioneers knew they were making headway where others said it couldn't be done. Wherever the Lord of the Harvest leads CBM church planters, the method for their mission remains the same. The missionary starts with a core group of believers who have a desire to see a sound Baptist church in their community. In the initial stage of establishing the church, the missionary meets with a small group for Bible study and to form the vision for a new church plant. Often, these meetings are held in homes. The missionary charts the course and rallies the faithful to launch out into a public ministry. A meeting place is secured in the target community. Motel conference rooms, schools, community buildings, and even lodges have been used to house new church plants. The mission church attempts to do ministry in the same way established churches do, but without the convenience of their own facility. Classrooms may be inadequate and small. The meeting place often does not look like a church sanctuary, but the anticipation for what God is going to do more than makes up for what facilities may lack. And the story continues. By the time an auto accident claimed Arthur Glenn's life in 1952, 17 families served under the Hiawatha Land banner. Over the next 2 decades, God blessed the mission with significant progress. Reverend Guy King was tapped to succeed Arthur Glenn. God used his business background to orient the mission for growth. During King's tenure, an office was built in Escanaba, and new services offered, including an on-site publications department. God also used external events to extend his work. In 1956, the Straits of Mackinac Bridge opened, linking Upper and Lower Michigan. Until then, the UP was something of a foreign mission field. Reverend King wrote to supporters, "The new Straits Bridge will increase the population of this North land and will also change conditions. We're ready to take on this added responsibility, for we're confident you will continue to stand behind us in prayer. We shall endeavor to be your faithful servants of the North." Not only did the mission expand in the North, but by the time of King's retirement in 1974, 129 missionaries were serving in Florida, Arizona, Iowa, Minnesota, Indiana, Wisconsin, and Montana, as well as 2 provinces of Canada. When Arthur Cunningham became director, he moved his family to Escanaba, but it wouldn't be for long. Seeing missionaries fan out across the continent, Cunningham recognized the need of centralizing the hub of services. In 1977, the mission moved to Grand Rapids, Michigan. Cunningham also envisioned a name change to reflect the expansion. In 1982, Hiawatha became Continental Baptist Missions. On Cunningham's watch, the CBM building ministries grew. Homer Baker and Arlie Todd pioneered this itinerant church construction ministry in the early 1960s, knowing that the growth of churches was hastened by getting them into an adequate building. The Bakers and Todds were joined by a host of missionary church builders throughout the years, each setting aside house and home to move about North America, constructing meeting places for God's people. To date, more than 50 churches have been built, along with extensive remodeling or additions to 30 others. The ministry has come a long way from the day when the Curtis Baptist Church acquired an unused barn, moved it, and made it into a church building. Arthur Cunningham's burden for helping new churches also led him to vigorously promote a revolving loan program. The fund, named in Cunningham's honor, provides low-interest loans to mission churches for their first building program. A lover of people and preaching, Art Cunningham was doing what he did best when God took him home at age 55. In November 1983, preaching a series of meetings in Tucson, Arizona, he suffered an aneurysm and was with the Lord within hours. The council turned to its own chairman to take the reins. Reverend Charles Vermillier assumed interim direction at Cunningham's death. The following May, he was appointed executive director. Although Mr. V, as missionaries called him, would serve just 7 years until retirement, those years were marked by growth. 16 churches graduated from mission status, and the mission family grew to almost 170. In May 1987, ground was broken for the mission's first made-to-order office building. The CBM builders completed the 6,200 square foot facility in less than 6 months. Within 3 years, the building and property were debt-free. From 1991 to 2006, the mission emerged as a partner in church planting under the leadership of Dr. Gerald Weber. A new mission headquarters in Rockford, Michigan was built. The building ministries continued to expand, and a growing number of missionaries became involved in outreach and discipleship programs that complemented the strengths of the church planter and aided church growth. As well, Team CBM, an all-volunteer ministry, was launched to assist church planters and builders in the field. In May of 2006, following the retirement of Dr. Weber, the Mission Board extended a call to Reverend Bill Junkin III to serve as CBM's 6th president. A spiritual product of CBM himself, with missionary endeavors in the West, Brother Bill brought with him a desire to minister to the needs of the mission family and local church alike. With a God-given gift for evangelism and more than 20 years' experience as a CBM church planter, Reverend Junkin and his wife Terry carry with them the passion to see souls saved and churches built to the honor of God. A great many things have changed since the early days. The CBM mission family has grown, and its ministries have multiplied and diversified. Once localized in Michigan's Northland, the mission's outreach now crisscrosses the continent. The truly essential things, however, remain unchanged. At the forefront is CBM's desire to assist churches and their missionaries in re-churching North America. The mission's board, staff, and missionaries are united in their desire to make a difference in the spiritual landscape of this North American continent.